Hi guys, it's Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about how to install a Precision parabolic damper. Precision just came out with a new installation video a few days ago, and I just watched it today. And it's a good video, but I felt like in some areas they really kind of rushed through it and didn't explain it well enough. So that's why I decided to make another video. I didn't really want to, but I want to make it easy for you guys to install this product. And we've had this product for a while. I don't know, we took it on a year and a half or so ago, and I rode a bike with it on that had it on there, and I liked it, and so that's why we brought them in. I typically try to test all the, especially the higher end stuff that we handle, and make sure it's a good product before we put it on our site and on the shelf. And this definitely meets our parameters. It's definitely a high quality unit. It's used by a lot of the top factory guys in GNCCs and desert racing, and but it's not just for racing. It's an excellent product for trail riding. It actually makes it a lot safer. And although it's called a steering damper, I like to think of it more as a chassis damper. They really stabilize the whole bike and keep. Sometimes you'll get the back end to kick out on you, and it will really catch that and keep it from getting out of control, because it's attached to the frame, and that's why it does that. So anyhow, I still think you should watch their video. They're the guys that make them, and they've definitely got some good points in there. But hopefully this video will help you a little bit. And so let's go up here to the bike. Now this bike, I'm doing a very expensive build on for a customer. So it's kind of got a lot of stuff off of it right now. You do not have to have the tank and seat off to install this damper. You don't have to have the forks or the front wheel assembly off. I had those off for other reasons. But what you do have to do is come up with your own method to strap down the front end to hold it with pressure up, so that it keeps the triple clamp in the bearing here, everything in place. Now if you've got a set of these loop straps like this, you could just loop them around the fork tube down here and pull it up and then over top of the frame like that. That will hold everything in place for you. They explain that in their video as well. Other than that, you need to loosen this pinch bolt right here. I've already removed this center bolt. And then the triple clamp is ready to come off, because we have to install this piece right there, which I call the frame bracket. They've got another name for it. And then that piece on the left there is the bearing cover. It's shorter and has to be used. Do not reuse the stock one. All right, guys, so I'm gonna here. Get things started. All right, guys, I removed the throttle on this just because it was easy to do, because the wraparound handguards aren't on this bike yet, but you do not have to do that. I just want to get these cables out of the way for the purpose of the video, make it easier to see. So I'm going to jiggle this a little bit, lift it up, kind of set it over here to the side, and then take this O-ring off, then the bearing cover, and this little rubber seal. I'm going to set those down for a minute. Alright, so in their video they recommend you put the bearing cover on, because you need to check to see if it has interference with these the weld that surrounds this steering head here. So set that on. Put this piece on, and in their video, they recommend that you pry this open a little bit, so loosen this Allen bolt. Oh, did that backwards. Anyhow, pry this open, and they recommend you leave that rubber seal off for right now. Drop this down. Put this on. sure this thing's down all the way. And I think my tie down strap there is holding it up, so I'm going to start over here. Alright guys, so I took the tie down strap from off of here and moved it to behind the oil spigot here so that I don't have any interference. And I forgot to mention before that I've never installed one of these before, so you guys can kind of learn with me. This is definitely, I mean, I've installed a lot of dampers before, but just not this brand. I'm going to push that bearing down in its seat. I'm going to take the screwdriver here and pry this open, just like I did before. And I think it's sitting on the weld. Yep. Because there needs to be a gap between this edge here and this bracket. Otherwise, it's just going to bind up when you tighten the triple clamp down. Yeah, it's going to make it really heavy steering if you do that. All right, so I'm going to take this off. And get to work on this bracket, on this frame here. Alright, so to do that, I'm going to see if I can make some marks on this frame so I can know where to grind. And this piece is pretty stout. I don't like beating on things, but I'm not tapping on it hard. So I can see some marks up here, a little over there, a little mark here. So because I can do it this way, I'm going to grind on the inside of the bracket with my porting tool, rather than grind on the frame, because some bikes have really big welds right here, like globs. Some don't. This one doesn't. So I'm not going to grind on it. I'm going to grind on the bracket itself a little bit, just see if I can make that work. So stay tuned. All right, guys. Thanks for staying tuned. I took this bracket over my porting bench and used my porting tool and ground on it. I'm sure you guys are at Precision or having a cow about now for watching this video, but I really don't like grinding on the frame, and it's hitting out here, and I definitely don't want to grind on that part of the frame because that's the actual tubing, that's not the weld. So what I did was I used some Dichem steel blue dye and coated it in there. Then I put it back on, and I tapped it with a mallet, and then it made marks on that blue dye, and I ground on it. So I ground kind of this whole area in here, not a lot, but just I put another angle on it. I also ground a little bit here and here because that's where it was touching on this outer frame tube, or not outer, the upper frame tube. And now I've got it fitting. So I'm going to put this rubber seal back on. Don't forget that. And if your bike's older, this bike's brand new, so it doesn't need this bearings grease. But if it is older, this is a good time to re-grease your bearings, clean them and grease them. Put this back on here. This on here. Now the triple clamp's ready to go on. bolt back in. And then it takes a 17mm wrench. I'm just going to snug this down. Take off the strap. See what it feels like. Yep. There's no interference. It's working just fine, so that's all good. Now it's ready for the damper, everything to be tightened down and the damper to be installed. So next step coming up. Okay guys, so I kind of rotated the bars back and forth and I felt something holding them up. And this is only going to be on the models that have an odometer. You know, the SXF, SX, XCF, and then the Husqvarna motocross and cross country models, FC and FX, and then the gas models. I don't remember those models right at the moment, but anyhow, most of the models don't have an odometer on them, so you don't have this issue. But on this one, you can see they've built this cool little harness, plastic piece to guide the harness, but that's in the way of this. So you can see it chewed it up. That's just me rotating the bars or moving the bars back and forth a couple times. So it chewed it up right there. So the options are is I could put some spacers here to space it out from the triple clamps, or I could take a box cutter or something and trim some of this off. So I'm gonna try trimming it off first. I think that's probably the better route to go. Definitely the easier route. I don't have to chase down some spacers. I probably have some here, but I don't want to dig around for them. So give me a minute and I'll mess with that. All right guys, well I just took a utility knife and I trimmed some off across here. I kind of cut through here first and then I cut some off the top right here. Yeah, it doesn't look very nice, but it's tucked in there and hidden. Nobody will ever see it. So that resolved that real easily. That just took a few seconds and I got that resolved. I looked down at my workbench here and noticed I forgot to put this back on the steering stem, so don't do that. Make sure you put that back on. And now I'm going to go snug everything up. And I'll be back in a minute. Oh guys, now I've got it all together. Just want to give you one last little tip or two here. If you have a model that has the odometer, like that, then you want to make sure to leave that off until you get the damper mounted, because you've got to get it, you've got to access these 4 bolts here, and these bottom 2 are hard to get to with that odometer in place. So you want to leave that odometer off until you get the parabolic damper installed. It's just 4 bolts up here. You center it in between the handlebar mounts, and as you're installing it, you got this arm here has a shaft coming out the bottom of it, which has to go into this frame bracket right here. So just stick that in the frame bracket first, then put it up onto the handlebars, get it centered to get it tilted properly to where you've got good engagement of this shaft or this pin. And then check and see after you've got it installed, rotate the bars back and forth and make sure you don't have excessive movement of this piece up and down or front to back. You know, the install on these is pretty simple. The only hassle is grinding the inside of that bracket or grinding the frame if that's needed. Not, you know, it's not the case on all bikes. Some of them the welds aren't in the way. So anyhow, it looks nice. It works well. I've already been out riding it. Works great. It's easy to adjust. You got the knob right here. And I've got it in kind of the neutral position on 5. What I like about it, it has a real light feel to it. Some of the other dampers on the market tend to make the steering a little heavier. This one does not do that. Well guys, I hope this video has helped you a little bit. It's kind of long. Maybe if it doesn't help you install this, it'll help you go to sleep if you have insomnia. And once again, don't forget why you bought your bike. Don't obsess about every little detail. Your bike doesn't have to be perfect. Just get out and ride it. Nothing like throttle therapy. So get out and wear out some tires. Twist that throttle. Have a good time. Help out with the trails. Become a member of your local trail group. And ride more and work less. That's all for now.